Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This your boy Jake Fever, and this is Jake Fever Presents Colliding with Bitcoin Behind the Bar. And I got a special guest with me today. I got Uncle Reno, and he's from off the hold on, let me get it right. Off the record on the rocks podcast. Now, he's a Bitcoiner like me, and he likes to have a little bit of libations. So I'm gonna bring him on and let him tell you about what he has going on, and we're gonna get talking about Bitcoin and some tequila. What's up, Uncle Reno? How you doing, brother?
Yeah. Oh, Jake Fever, it's a pleasure.
Cheers,
Cheers to
cheers.
you. I got a little of that Mexican wine, I like to call it, also known as tequila.
Oh yeah. I like that name. I like
Mm,
that name. And the
mm,
libations I'm on will be the Solana. Y'all will see the review coming out. I got three of them here. It'll be out on Tuesday
mm.
for Tequila Tuesday review. So y'all check for that on Tuesday. But
I don't have,
hey,
I have no Solana yet, never tried it. I'm having Tierra Noble. It's got a wax top. Look for the reposado with blue. It's delicious.
all right. So what's up, Mark Hill? How you doing? I see you in the comments. But first and foremost, let's just let you tell us about yourself real quick. Just give us a rundown. Tell us everything you do. I know I didn't give you the best introduction, so you might as well do yourself justice right here, right now.
Oh, thank you. I'll give you the high points. So I started off in technology at the turn of the century. I can say that because I'm a little bit older. And
Yeah.
I started working what was Web 1 through to Web 2 through to Web 3, building all kinds of SaaS platforms and content marketing platforms and advertising solutions and all the crazy stuff you do in Silicon Valley and that part of the time and part of the world. But it was about 2018, 2019, I got turned on to cryptography, to Bitcoin. I had friends telling me, you need to do this. I regret to say at that time that I didn't just do it. Had I been that guy who at the 200, 270, 300 Bitcoin had said, yes, maybe I'll try something, we'd be in a different situation today. But I got more into it 2019, 2020. Been working with my company, developing new AI solutions, working with some new Web3 software, and trying to figure out how to maximize value out of this burgeoning thing, which is Bitcoin. And there's many layers that we could get into, but I came at it kind of almost sideways, unfortunately, and a little bit probably later than I would have liked.
All right. So what eventually made you jump on the train? Like I understand that you had plenty of opportunities, and a lot of people have those opportunities, but what made you like bite the bullet and say, hey, this is really it? Is it uh more understanding, or is it just like, "Oh, I just hear it too much, let me try it"?
No, actually, it was more of the former. It was so many people who own Bitcoin, and you know this, Jake. Like no one takes the time to understand. They get swept up in it. I took the time to read the white paper. I took the time to get to actually start a podcast of my own, which is called Off the Record on the Rocks, with one of my good friends from business. And it was partially because, hey, it's 2019 going into 2020, it's pandemic, but also we need to understand this thing. And some of the best ways to understand it are to have phone calls with your homies. Have a drink, have a phone call, and start talking about what should we do in this new thing called Bitcoin? What should we do in this altcoin world? Whatever. So we started talking to each other and realized, wait, why don't we, like, we're just a couple dads trying to figure the world out. What if we just put this, on the internet? Would we actually get people who are followers who would like just two guys who are coming at it almost completely, like neophytes, and try to figure it out? So it came from trying to understand the technology, then just talking with friends and being open about being wrong, about being right, just have an honest conversation, put that and started getting a bunch of followers on the internet. And it actually led us to you through some weird twists and turns, through the web and through live shows. That this is sort of my story, is falling in love with it, trying to understand it, talking with friends about it has actually brought me to a broader community of more friends who I think about it in the same way.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I like that. But and then like I'm gonna explain my explanation of how I got into it as well. Because I don't think I ever said it out loud. It's because I was trying to find something of how, and am I working for something that somebody can just create? And I was trying to find out why. And then it made me bump back into Bitcoin because I just looked at it as an investment thing, another investment tool to make more money. But it wasn't about making money. It's like I am tired of working for money and money and money and money. I just need to be able to save it. How can I not like have to keep working for this that I've already earned enough? No matter how much you make, it feels like you got to keep working. So with Bitcoin, nobody can make more of it. So the bigger the piece of the pie you get, you don't have to keep working for it anymore. And you can just live off all work that you've already done.
You did right. And
So
this is something I've actually never said before on any recording, but one of the other major driving factors of trying to figure out how he said to diversify and take control was the 2019, 2020. We all felt the pinch in whatever walk of life and whatever business you're in. Pandemic for real changed everything. And for me personally, I had overextended myself just before pandemic hit. And so as part of the awakening of talking about it on the internet, of having conversations, of contemplating not just Bitcoin, but altcoins, was the calculus of, okay, what if this thing lasts for 5 years? What if
yeah,
who knows what's going to happen next? I need to start to take full control, full ownership. On the first graphic that you showed, it said, had the no keys, no cheese. And that no keys, no cheese saying that I've heard you say a million times, it had sunk in at that point. And so part of wanting to go hard into cryptography, not just Bitcoin, like you were saying, of course, I would say I would call myself a Bitcoin maxi on the balance. But if you're not looking at Ethereum, not financial advice, but if you're not looking at
yeah,
Ethereum, if you're not looking at Pepe, if you're not looking at Solana, if you're not looking at Shiba Inu, all the way down to the bottom of the basement, spread it around. If Bitcoin goes 5%, some of these other dogs go 20%, and then just make sure you're disciplined enough to slide it back into Bitcoin. And I told myself at that point, okay, overextension 2019, pandemic 2020, everything is going upside down. What's the one thing that I can count on? Technology, an
yeah,
algorithm, something that does not have a CEO or a boss or a home address or a phone number or a way to have black helicopters fly in at night and get you. Bitcoin. It's an algorithm. And so that's I almost by pure just survival mode just piled as hard as I could into it right about around that window,
yeah.
2019, 2020.
Yeah, like you see, like Bitcoin is the safety, and everything else can make you more Bitcoin. So that's why you say the dog coins and all that. But the key word is discipline, and some people don't have enough discipline just to even buy Bitcoin every week. So like to have discipline to pull out at the right times to be in those things. Sometimes you're just better off just buying Bitcoin. But if you do have those discipline, you can really win. But
Yeah, I mean, I look at it like I call it the morning challenge. Like, do you like coffee or do you like tea? What's your morning beverage?
I do both of them. I do both of them.
Okay. But like, I like to go out and get a nice coffee, like a lot of people do, right? Some number of days a week, you go out to wherever you go. You go to Starbucks, you go to Pete's, maybe you go to a place on the corner that's more local, but you buy a coffee. How much does a coffee cost? Maybe it costs like what, $3,
Yeah,
$5,
yeah,
some amount of money. So my coffee challenge is for 1 year, actually forget the year, just make it a month. For 1 month, make it a week. Every time you drive to get the cup of coffee, and as soon as you go through the drive-through or you walk up and speak to the barista or whatever, however it is you do it, you pay the amount of money, and then just remember how much that was. Okay, it's 485, it's 515, whatever it is. Then immediately go to Cash App and just buy that much of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Just match every coffee with that amount of Satoshis, and you would be stunned how much you get in a year. Because they'll also make you question how much coffee you drink in a year.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, it I'm kind of jaded with telling people about Bitcoin now because I told them so
Why?
much. I'm
Because
telling
they
you,
won't
bro.
listen to you?
Yeah, they won't listen. It's like, well, some people do listen. Some people do listen, and those are the people that you get through and you're happy for them. But the people that's like, you're not gonna make it to the finish line with everybody. That's what I believe right now. Everybody's not coming with you to the finish line, and they always got personal reasons and personal faults of why they can't do something. So I just got to live with that. That's just what I got to live with. But it's like, uh, if you ask me questions now, I'm gonna show you the price. What I was wanting to show you the price of Bitcoin right now. Let's see if I got the price up here. All right, let me pull something up. Hold on one second. I did a screenshot. All right, so Bitcoin price is
Mm.
at 93K right now. Ethereum's at 3,300, and I guess XRP is at 209, and BNB is at like what 600, almost $700. So those are like a couple of the top projects that's by market cap. And if you've been telling people to buy Bitcoin at $3,000, $4,000, and they're asking you about it at 93,000, like I don't have a lot of conversation for you. Yeah, it's the right thing to do, even though it's at 93K. But what else can I tell you? Like, I told you so. Like, it's like everything I tell you is gonna be like I'm picking on you at this point in time. So I might as well just don't say anything, teach you about anything, and just put it out there and just cheer for myself right now. That's all.
Well, you don't have to bully them with your silence. You can say, "Hey, when it was $100 and it was $500 and it was $1,000, everyone thought it was a joke." There's like a psychology of the value where, like you say, there's people who refuse to listen to me talk about Bitcoin, who've shown up out of the woodwork a month ago, 2 weeks ago. We're like, now they want to talk about it because now it crossed over 100K, because now it was on the CNBC, CNN feed, Fox News feed. Like now it's something that's interesting. But I tell them, I don't try to be disgruntled. I don't tell them I told you so, but they usually come to that thought themselves of, oh, I'm coming back to you because you seem like you were right. And I tell them, look, this is just the beginning. The entire United States government and the incoming administration has just said that they want to build a strategic Bitcoin reserve.
Yeah,
So any discussion that you have had before about is this real or is it not, please leave that at the door. And then if you believe the United States government, who is in the business of controlling things at all costs, is going to take their foot off the gas, like you must be nuts. So yeah, at 93, I would say it's a buy signal, not financial advice, because by the end of this decade, it could be $1 million easy. I mean, I see a future where you have $1 a Satoshi. Could
yeah,
you imagine a 400 quadrillion dollar Bitcoin? Like, who knows? It almost is at a point now where, because everyone is involved, it's almost like the beginnings of what would be a good example of this. It's almost like the beginnings of when credit cards were first released. Right,
yeah,
credit cards were released to the American public right after the Second World War. It was like in the 40s and the 50s, in this golden age of capitalism. And the credit card was this amazing tool that came not from the government, but from the private sector. And Bank of America had the first one, and they went door to door. Forgive for the analogy, but it's true. They were knocking on doors, talking to housewives, and saying, "There's a piece of plastic, it has a bunch of numbers on it, and you can take it and you can go buy a washing machine, you can go buy an oven, you can go buy groceries. You don't have to go and put it on layaway. You can actually go buy it right today and worry about it next month." And that created this dawn of virtual currency in the future. This idea a virtual currency. So to me, and of course, at the time, people thought it was insane, and it took forever before it saturated. But today, crypto is at that beginning of MasterCard Visa phase, Bitcoin at the awareness phase of, oh, I can get some of this and hold it like a piece of property in the future and draw a home equity line of credit off of it as if it was a house. Like, yeah, it's a weird piece of equity that is brand new. And I mean, look, does your mother own any Bitcoin? Mine doesn't. I've been trying to
Oh,
get her to do it. In 10
well,
years, maybe she will.
my mom only owns Bitcoin because I gave her Bitcoin. She wouldn't buy it,
There you go.
but she probably buys some now. I mean, but she owns Bitcoin because I gave her Bitcoin, and she don't know how to sell it.
Good, actually. It's good that she doesn't know how to sell it. Then you have to facilitate that. But
Yeah,
there's going to be a point within the next couple of years where your mother is going to be 100% educated on how to do all of that because it's in the better interest now of the American government and the people of this country to have everyone socialized on how to maneuver in this new world. And we're first movers. Your mother's a first mover. Mine will be when I get her some exposure to Bitcoin. Most people are not going to wake up for a couple more years, you know?
yeah.
It's just a way. It's a process. And by the time that everyone does wake up, yeah, they're gonna be probably buying spot Bitcoin ETFs from their bank and thinking that they own Bitcoin when all they have is a little piece of paper that says they have a little bit of little few Satoshis like they do their gold and their pork bellies. Because you
That's what.
can't see those either.
Yeah, that's what I say about stocks. Like none of that shit is real, bro. Like Bitcoin is the
No,
only
none of it.
Bitcoin is the only real thing, and people don't understand. And they think it's fake. They think it's magic internet money. Bitcoin is the only real thing that you own. Everything else is fake. You don't own your house because the property taxes you paid, somebody else own it. They can eminent domain you. You don't own any stocks.
Mm.
When the last time you seen somebody actually hold a stock certificate? You
Yeah.
know,
Do I
like
do I own this much Tesla? Do I have
yeah,
this much? Does it show
you
me?
yeah, but it's like, oh, I can cash it out. I can touch my money. It's in the bank. You don't own anything in the bank. You don't go ask for $10,000 out. See, the reason that I think the banks don't even like crypto because people that know about crypto and they cashing out and they cash out their Bitcoin and put it in the bank, they go get the money immediately because they don't trust the banks. And the banks do not want to bank with you because they know a crypto person is going to make a lot of money and they're not going to be able to give them that money.
At the banks are big. The physical buildings
Yeah.
are big, and there are vaults, and the vaults have all this technology to tamp fires down, to equalize the air pressure, to keep the pressure of the air temperature normalized. Like there are these very complicated physical buildings, but there's no money in them. Like that was to your point. Like if you go into the bank and say, I would like to withdraw $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, pick the number. There's a number at which they'll tell you that you can't. Even if you have that much money, they won't be able to because they might have to call to bring the physical money to them to give to you. So here's a prediction for 2025. If you have all of these networks of local banks all over the country that are, I think, subsidiaries on some level to these national banks, and they all have controlled, guarded, protected spaces with electricity and water and temperature controls and fire controls, then what if the National Bitcoin Reserve taps the banks and says, we're going to set up mining farms in the physical bank buildings all around the country?
Hey,
What
that's
if that's the US's path to erasing the deficit is turning unused bank vaults into server farms?
whatever makes them happy. I don't know. Like I'm just gonna be like Michael Saylor, use the money I got to buy more Bitcoin. But like that is a theory and that will work. But I'm more like Michael Saylor, sell the gold, kill your enemies at the same time, make devalue the gold, buy Bitcoin, and now you got the
But what
strategic
if
reserve.
but what if Michael Saylor gets tapped to head the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve? He seems like an obvious choice.
Yeah,
What if he becomes part of the government?
I like Michael Saylor, but for y'all that don't know who Michael Saylor is, I'll tell y'all he's the chairman. He used to be the CEO of MicroStrategy, but he's the chairman because he wanted to step out and focus more on Bitcoin. He took his company from like I think almost $1 billion company to like an $83 billion company just by having a strategic um, method of buying Bitcoin and just putting Bitcoin on his balance sheet, and it went up from $10,000 to 108 or 100. He's buying billions and billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin at a time, and his stock just grows and grows and grows. So when he told me, well, when he announced to the public that he was going to buy Bitcoin, I used all my money in my 401k and brought his stock, and his stock went from
Oh, that's smart.
yeah, his stock went from like $100 to like $3,000 a share.
That is smart.
And then
I oh,
yeah.
that's a good one. That's a good one. I didn't. So what was MicroStrategy at that time?
It was like $187 or something a share. And
Mm,
he he went to $3,000 a share after, well, of course it split, so it's like $300 now. But it went to like
mm,
$5,000 a share because it was at $550, but it split into tens. You see what I'm saying?
hmm. Yeah.
So that's like $5,000 a share from like $180 a share.
Yeah, and he just in the last week or two, didn't he just buy like another 5 billion at like a 98 or 103 he was buying it? He's just methodically buying it.
Yeah,
He doesn't slow down.
he's the master of financially engineering ways to buy Bitcoin. In my
Yeah.
eyes, I got a couple of friends that do it too, but I don't like borrowing money. I like to put my own money to work.
Yeah.
I come from the world of Dave Ramsey, and Dave Ramsey, he doesn't like to borrow money. I don't like to borrow money because I don't want like anybody to have me by the balls. So
Yeah.
so if you don't borrow money and you own Bitcoin, you're pretty much like really solid. And that's why I don't even follow Dave Ramsey anymore, because he's about freedom and all that, and he doesn't even talk about Bitcoin. How don't you talk about Bitcoin if
I
you
know.
really about that? You know, he made me mad about that. So I believe that you can get I believe that you could get in a better situation for your family and everybody by following Dave Ramsey, but you can't get out of the rat race by following Dave Ramsey. You're still going to work for money that another man can print.
It almost seems like David Ramsey is working for the wrong team.
I think
Like maybe he's not talking about Bitcoin on purpose. He doesn't want anybody to know.
he needs you to be in debt so his program will work.
That's right.
If he tell you about Bitcoin, he can't sell you any books. He can't
That's right.
he can't his stuff won't work for you. He needs you to get into debt so he can tell you how to get out of debt.
It makes me start to think I should like record some, CDs with like emotional spoken word to help people get out of debt. That might be an angle to make some more money to buy some more Bitcoin.
Hey, it is. I'm telling you, man. Anything you do in financial world, like these, I listen to a lot of people about money, and I think I'm tapped in with this Bitcoin thing so much that I don't have to listen to anybody anymore.
That's
I
right.
think
You just got to listen to the servers spinning, the whirring of the server engines,
yeah,
the ant farms.
yeah,
No, but Michael Saylor, the one point about Michael Saylor, which I think is interesting, is that, look, the Federal Reserve, we all know, is what bolsters the American economy. But the Federal Reserve, we also all know, is not a government agency. It's
not federal.
a
They
co-
have no
it- it's
reserves.
a, it's it's a coalition of families who are able to loan money to the United States government. And when you think about that just for 1 second, and you unpack that, and you think, wow, okay, so there's all these federal agencies that rely on budgets that come from the federal government, but the reserve, as you noted, isn't even a reserve. It's just a bunch of families who can opportunistically loan money at rates that are somehow okayed by who? Who knows? Maybe by themselves. Okay, so if you're in the business of tapping yet another private sector someone to start something, in my mind, why wouldn't you start with Michael Saylor? If there's one American who has been bullish from the jump on acquiring Bitcoin at all costs, no matter what the price, because he knows where it's headed, it's not stopping at 109 or 110,000. It's going to go to 109 million. And he's just like, hey, we're just in the starting phases of this. I think there might be a play that, oh, our boy Michael Saylor becomes, unfortunately, one of the feds. and the strategic Bitcoin reserve chairman
My,
under like
my
Senator Loomis and Senator Warren or whatever.
Michael Saylor knows that he is public with his purchases,
Oh
and
yeah.
he knows people know he's public, right? But he also knows the big players that are private. You know, the Winklevoss twins, they have 1 million Bitcoin. You know that?
1 million Bitcoin? I
Yeah,
don't think I knew that.
they at one point in time they own 1 million Bitcoin, just like Satoshi did. So
Mm,
so the Gemini twins, they call them Gemini twins, but Winklevoss twins, they have 1 million Bitcoin now. If they have 1 million Bitcoin, and a person like Michael Saylor knows that he's playing catch up,
hmm
and he knows he's playing catch up, and he knows he got a smaller bag to play catch up with. So he has to like financially engineer ways to buy more Bitcoin. So and that's just a public company telling you they own 400,000 Bitcoin. That's not
Right.
anybody else talking. Like these private companies, you don't think Amazon buying Bitcoin, you don't think Apple buying Bitcoin. You're a damn fool if you don't think they're buying Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Like you
And
are,
every country in in the world that's sanctioned by the US is buying Bitcoin.
they might not even be buying it under, like, because they have to report certain things. They're buying it under something else where they just gonna transfer it over.
Oh, you're talking
Yeah,
about all the shell companies at
yeah,
the
they're
big
buying it.
wigs. Yeah. Yeah, they're buying it on the sly. I see
And they're
what
gonna
you're
be like,
saying.
oh, Microsoft just did an acquisition to buy this such and such company that owns this amount of Bitcoin for like such a certain amount of money, which is their money anyway. You see what I'm saying? You're gonna see things like that
Hmm
happen in the future, and people are already buying it. That's why it's like Anthony Pompliano says, it gets more attractive to people with more money higher the price goes up because it becomes more
hmm
liquid for them. They can move in and out of the asset. It's easy. It's not like owning real estate. It's an easy thing. They can borrow against it. It's gonna be crazy, bro. This is gonna get
Well, so
crazy.
but when you talk about Michael Saylor, it almost sounds like he reverse leverages micro strategies. So you're talking like part of those divisions can take debt, and then he does like whatever the debt conversion is that you would do in a normal company, like a normal, Oak Tree Capital is going to go in and is going to say, well, we're going to acquire the debt of blank. And blank happens to be one of the dogs under Michael Saylor's umbrella. And they acquire the capital and then they actually buy Bitcoin. So that might be the game that he's playing is acquiring Bitcoin through debt vehicles.
Yeah, that's all
Because
he's doing.
when you look at the Winklevoss twins are not diversified. They never have been. I mean, they're as undiversified as the fact that they are identical twins, right? They're kind
Yeah,
of one mind. They have Gemini and they have
Bit,
nothing, right?
they got Bitcoin and
Where,
ETH, I think.
well, but I mean, they have the company Gemini,
Yeah,
and then they have their own personal holdings of whatever else they hold. But when you look at guys like Saylor, you look at guys like Musk, you look at guys like these different guys who own a plurality of companies, of which they always make sure that a couple of them are killers, a couple of them are dogs, because you got to offset, then you can restructure debt and buy Bitcoin. I think
yeah.
Michael Saylor does that very effectively. He
I
restructures debt agreements as to turn it into Bitcoin.
yeah, I don't understand how he does everything, but I know what he's doing is diabolical, and I think he he's got people on their tippy toes to try it too. And the only and I think next year when everything comes around and you can actually uh mark the market your increases and decreases in Bitcoin, like when you can say, hey, my Bitcoin is worth this amount for real, instead of saying, hey, I brought Bitcoin at 10,000 and went like to 9,000. I can't say it's worth 20,000 because it's 20,000 a day. It's only worth nine. The way the tax system works now, you got to say it's
Mm.
worth what it was at 9,000 instead of 20,000, which is what it is today. So next year, a lot of companies going to jump in because you could say I brought it at 100,000, it's worth 200,000. My company is worth 200. You see what I'm saying? Double the amount.
Yeah, yeah, it's double the amount for sure.
So they're going to
Yeah,
look
well,
better at Wall Street. It's going to cause people to buy more stock. It's going to cause them to get more money to keep the cycle going.
and what I think is really interesting about that is that the 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 incoming administration can literally rewrite the rules as to how everything has been run up until this point. because the existing set of rules is that if there's a transaction that was north of $600, 600, you have to declare. And I want to say 2 years ago, it was on everyone's taxes. There was some checkbox that said, "Have you ever," and it was this long description, "Have you ever owned, held, bought, sold a digital this something 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 something?" It was sort of the catch-all for everything from an NFT of, the crypto punk to, Ethereum or and everything in between. And I feel like what we're going to see come in, not right away, but on the 20th, 21st of January, as soon as Congress comes back into session on that Tuesday, the just all out drop the ropes on reining in anything to do with crypto. You're going to see the whole landscape change, the whole taxable event structure change, because everything is going to be in the favor of a certain class of citizen. And if you can figure out how to align yourself with that same class of citizen and you hold crypto, and you're all going to be all the better. But I think it's going to evolve a lot, literally in the next 4 weeks.
Yeah, and my whole thing is like I want to get this off. Anybody who's watching, I told you so. I was screaming to the highest I could out of my mouth. I said in October of 2023, I no longer believe you should dollar cost average anymore. You need to buy as much Bitcoin as possible. I don't care what you say. The big dogs are coming, and they're not going to stop coming. The ETFs, I seen it on the horizon of last year that it was going to be approved in January, and it was coming. And once the big dogs get in the game, the little pups better go sit on the porch because you're gonna see you're gonna see face melting candles that go up, and you're not even gonna believe this shit. Like you're not gonna
Yeah,
believe what's gonna happen. You're gonna see $100,000 candle. You can be like, Bitcoin just went up 100 grand today, and it's gonna be unreal to you. And sorry that you didn't get in. It's still a possibility that can get in, but my whole case in point was the big dogs are coming. If you don't have one Bitcoin, you should get to one Bitcoin as soon as possible. You should sell your kids, sell your house, sell. No, it's not financial advice, but
no,
I
no, but
was I
you're
was
right.
preaching like that, and I couldn't put what I had in my head into somebody else's head, and that's the only thing that I didn't know how to do. And I hate that these snakes and like these financial people on the internet can fool people into buying a subscription. And when I just tell you, man, it's easy, bro. Just buy it. It's free. It's easy. Just go on Coinbase or go on Square app or Cash App, whatever it's called, and just buy it.
Yeah,
Like that's such free advice, and I don't get nothing from it. Like, but if I sold a Patreon and I had you subscribe for $29 a month, you'll be ready. You'll be ready to do what I tell you, right?
that's right. And look, I won't lie. A lot of the talk that I heard you talking about on Behind the Bar in the different chat channels of the dollar cost averaging works fine before there's scale.
Yes.
It works fine when everyone's doing just like a little, little, little. Like you say, as soon as BlackRock, as soon as Fidelity, as soon as Bank of America, Wells Fargo, as soon as the IMF, the International Money Fund, and the World Bank both start talking about giving investments to countries in cryptocurrency, then you know that dollar cost averaging is literally gone. Like you said, it's gone. I went, and this is crazy because I didn't tell anybody, but I went and borrowed against, not financial advice, borrowed against my 401k, as Mr. Fever just described. But the way that that works is you have a time limit. There's a fuse that's lit, right?
Yeah.
You can borrow, you're basically borrowing against yourself, your future self's retirement, and you're allowed to get as much as you want of it. You want 100% of it, you can get it. You want half of it, whatever. But you have to sell, you have to liquidate all the stocks that are in it in order to get that cash. So I'm like, okay, let's just liquidate half of it. Let's go get half of that as a loan from my future self to me today. And I have 3 months to return the money to avoid a taxable event.
Yeah.
So you just you don't dollar cost average in that scenario. You take all of it, and you put it into crypto that day. I think it was 60% Bitcoin, 40% Ethereum, and you just wait. Just wait, and you're gonna have to. You can wait because procedurally, I want to say it's a 3 day with the automatic clearinghouse, the ACH rules to put the money back. So it's
Yeah.
not 90 days. Let's say it's 87 days. But you wait and you wait till that high point. You pick it, and then you sell enough out to replace that
To,
loan.
to
And I
be
did
honest
that
with you,
twice over 2 years. And honestly, dollar cost averaging did bullshit compared to that twice over 2 years
yeah, you have to
because it's
be.
just big hits, big
And
hits.
what Uncle Reno's saying to you is you have to be in it to really understand the right timing. So if you're not in Bitcoin, you don't pay attention to it every day. You don't watch things. You don't educate yourself. You don't look at price. You don't see price action. You're not gonna be able to time it like that. But even in case he did have to pay, say he did have a taxable event, if he make 100% on whatever he took out, the taxable event becomes nothing to him. It doesn't matter anymore. So even if he did have a taxable event, didn't make it past the 90 days, it wouldn't have been a problem at all. Because Bitcoin is moving at a rate. It started at what, 30 something $1,000 at the beginning of this year? I thought it was gonna be
Barely that.
$80,000 on Christmas. That's what I said. I said I will dye my beard orange if it's not $80,000 on Christmas. It was $80,000 before Thanksgiving, almost Halloween. You see what I'm
Good for
saying?
you and your beard.
Yeah, but that's what I just posted on Facebook. My wife was like, yeah, I'm glad it was 80,000, but but yeah,
But what you're saying is correct. Look, it could have been a taxable event. Again, this is not financial advice. But if you have a 90-day swing and you know you can make a move, my point on that is, look, it's highly risky. It's always risky to put a big bet anywhere. But when in this
you,
new world, when the major financial institutions are fully bought in, the appetite in general for swings as they get wilder is lower and lower and lower. And you have to ask yourself, okay, if the headline of the news says that BlackRock had the highest inflows of spot Bitcoin and spot Ether ETFs this week, and that the number is always something you've seen it, Jake, it's like $5.4 billion of inflows in a week.
it's crazy.
And,
This is
and,
the
and you
craziest
read
thing.
and you literally read that headline right here. Let's get the screen right. That's one headline. Then on this other side of your screen here, it says that Bitcoin went down 2.2% from 96 to 93,000. And you think I have to like scratch my head. I'm like, wait a second. $5.4 billion just moved into Bitcoin spot ETF. But the actual price of Bitcoin went down. Gosh, if that's true, then the fix is in. These guys, they know how to smooth out the market. They don't want it to go from 100 to 30 to 120 to 40. Like they'll scare everyone. They'll scare the world. If you
Yeah, they
want
got
China to start putting money in, you better
they,
keep it smooth.
they're selling a product. It benefits
It's a,
them.
it's a nice product too. It looks good. It always goes
What
up.
what
Very
I'm gonna tell
steady. A
what I'm gonna
nice
tell
little
you,
angle.
I'm gonna look into the camera and tell you. If Bitcoin goes to $1 million, BlackRock ETF is gonna make $2.5 billion a year because that's their points on it at the point 25 points on it because they got the lowest points. Now if they move to 2%, they're gonna make almost $20 billion a year. But they're gonna make $2.5 billion where they're at right now. It behooves them to tell you that Bitcoin is the best investment. You need to put some money in there because they're going to make more money by just managing the ETF.
Yes. And
So
then, and when you say managing the ETF for all the listeners,
they don't do shit.
managing managing means they don't do shit and they get a percentage on every transaction that they manage. It's and if I'm the BlackRock consultant and I'm working with Jake Fever's family books, well, I'm gonna recommend at least 2 to 3 moves a day. Just little moves, but because it's just gonna like it's rain down the money machine because at that scale that they're talking about, the amount of residual monies they're getting off percentages of managing books is millions of dollars.
Yeah.
millions of dollars. And that's why I think a lot of people, so for even for our listeners on Off the Record on the Rocks, it's hard to parse to understand when you say Bitcoin is worth about $100,000, but there are these other things. Like I don't know how much are you exposed at all, Jake, to the derivative markets? Do you have any spot ETFs of any kind?
No, I don't.
'Cause it's a weird product. I don't have any exposure, and I'm like a little bit reticent to want to
Yeah, I
even get
don't.
into it.
Only thing that I'm exposed to is minor stocks like Mara, um, Clean Spark, Coinbase. I got Coinbase and I own MicroStrategies. So
Okay.
I own all those things, and I've been owning them since like forever. Since 2020. You know, so I hold those things, but I don't really hold like I don't need Bitcoin. I'm satisfied with the returns that Bitcoin does. 100% a year is good. I don't need 500% this year. Like that's a lot of gambling. But I do get exposed to like meme coins and shit coins in order to
Yeah.
do that because I think that those are better than like being exposed to like the 3x ETFs and stuff like that because it's no point when this can go 500x. You see what I'm saying?
Well, but also as long as the word ETF is attached to anything that you're doing, by definition, it means you're speaking to a banker,
Yeah,
a traditional banker who has these new products, but they're still traditional bankers. And what do traditional bankers do? Well, they assess fees to transactions. So uh, I think that the traditional banker, as a broker of crypto, whether it's the spot Bitcoin ETF, it's a spot Ethereum ETF, there's going to be a Solana ETF, dude. You already know. And by
yeah,
the way, when the Solana ETF hits, we're going to be rich. But don't tell
yeah.
anybody that on the internet. But but as
Oh,
soon as you're dealing with
so
ETFs, electronic, oh, we gotta re up. We gotta re up the Solana liquor.
so they know what we
Just
talking
re
about
up.
for real.
That's right.
This how
That's the Mexican.
this Mexican wine called
That's
Solana.
the that's the Mexican wine called Solana.
And
There's another thing called Solana that is gonna pay dividends, but again, all these ETFs, all these bankers, the ETF means they get to charge a service fee. And I think they have a good window. I mean, honestly, I think they could ride this to the end of the decade, convincing the public that they're a required asset, that they are a necessary function. You need a banker to call to get more of the blank ETF, Solana, Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc. You name it. And by the 2030, hopefully the next decade we go into, the great American awakeness says we don't need bankers. You can just go get this on your own and just drop the ETF because all those three letters mean is you're owing someone else money.
well,
Why?
Uncle Reno, they always need bankers, bro.
Why?
Um,
Why? Why
they
do they always need
they
bankers? I'm
are
so
they,
over the
a lot of people
bankers.
are scared to hold their own finances.
Well,
So
why? Why are they so scared? What's wrong with
because
them?
because it's the norm. Um, it's the norm.
It
People
makes me
people say
nervous. It makes me nervous how scared they are, honestly.
yeah.
Why is
So
America so
let's since
scared?
since we talking about Solana a little bit, let's talk about some coins that. All right, so here we go, guys. We're gonna talk about a few coins that we like. Um, that's not Bitcoin, but we are. I'm telling you, we are solid Bitcoin maximalists, but we're not fools either. So
That's right.
that's how I would consider myself. I'm a Bitcoin maximalist, but I'm not a fool, and I know I can make more money off not money more. Well, I do consider Bitcoin the money, and that's what I'm saying. I can make more Bitcoin by putting a little bit of my money over here. You see what I'm saying? So Solana is one that I like. I got in about $20 and it went from 20 to like 260. Now it's back down like 188 or 190 or something like that. I don't know what I put on the screen. I think I put like 190 on the screen.
Yeah, it's gonna pop again. It's gonna pop by inauguration day.
So that's one that I do like. Another one that I do like is Tailcoin. The reason I like
Oh,
Tailcoin is like a very low market cap coin. One of my friends put me on it, and I didn't. I was like, all right, he got a lot of Bitcoin. He do mining. He do all this. I just just because he got a bigger bank account than me. That's why I brought it. But then when I started studying it, it's an on and off ramp. It has its own own app where it's kind of like a Coinbase app where you can trade coins and stuff. You can get
Okay.
USD. It's an on and off ramp, and then you can send things through the Tailcoin app. So it's like a MoneyGram thing for different people in different countries. Like if I need to
Oh,
send
that is
some stuff to
interesting.
Mexico, I can send USDT to Mexico via the app and don't have to worry about anybody. It's it's
And
it's it's
are
like
the gas fees commensurate with like what you expect on other apps, or do
I
they have a
think
little
it's just
service
a
fee?
it's an app fee. It's like a cash app fee.
It's pure service fee.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
interesting.
it's like a RWA in my eyes, and the coin
Hmm.
itself has been growing. So I got a million of those, and it's almost at
Oh,
1 cent. I brought it at point oh oh
hey,
one.
hey, you know what? It might move a few orders of magnitude. That's all you need. All you need really is anyone. What I've seen with some of the best altcoins, shit coins, is if you can kind of it depends on how much time you have on your hands, but if you can spend some time on X, some time on Instagram, just looking at projects that people are talking about that have any semblance of celebrity attached to it. And when I say that, I don't mean like anyone super famous. I just mean anyone who's even remotely famous. Because what I found is a lot of those will move really quick, and they'll move on the weekends when those project leads will get one of their pseudo famous friends to talk about it. And those things will pop. And that's why, I mean, before Pepe even moved a penny or a fraction of a penny, my partner and I, Michael Toner from Off the Record on the Rocks, were like, that Pepe is about to move because there are some dudes who are involved in some other NFT programs, some other things. Like look to see who's involved. It's not you do about 5 minutes of some Googling, and you will see who are some of the founders of the project, what else have they have been involved in, and have they ever been sponsored or backed by anybody important? And literally, people I know it's like the go-to, name drop. But if you just look around at what the AZ, the crypto for or Andreessen Horowitz, what those guys put money into, it's not just Solana. There's a whole trickle down of
Yeah,
various projects. And
smoking
as soon
chicken
as you
fish.
Yes, and as soon as you see some random shit like that, and you have to ask yourself, well, where did this come from? Oh, well, they're just like it's a token that's going to be some test, blah blah blah, for a new something on-chain game. That is something if you can get in quick and get out quick, it's a great play again to move back into Bitcoin. Not
and
financial advice,
let
but
me tell you,
track it.
let me tell you my method of what he just said. What I do with those type of things. This is how I make my money work. All right, so if I decide to do what he just said, say if it's $500, and I put in something called smoking chicken fish, which is a real coin, and Raul Powell really believes in it, and he's a famous person. Yada yada. It's at like 0.019 cent or something crazy junk like that, and I got like $1,000 in it right now. If it go to 4 cent or right, I'll take my $1,000 out and I'll put it back in Bitcoin.
There
And
you go.
whatever happens to that coin going forward is all profit.
It's just gravy.
I don't just sit there and let it ride and just say, "Hey, oh my gosh, I made this much money." I get what I put in out, so I can say that later, just in case I don't win. So that's the type of things I do. I had 2 million Tailcoin at one point in time, but I
You're
know I
hot
lost.
on Tailcoin.
Yeah, but I sold it because I doubled up.
Mm.
The same thing and it happens the worst ways too. Like Miami coin, I had a million. I had
Yes.
2 million Miami coin. It doubled. I got a million out, and I still got a million Miami coin, but it's not worth nothing. It's worth zero. But I didn't
Yeah.
lose anything. It cost me $500 to get the Miami coin for a million. Two. Well, it cost $1,000 to get 2 million Miami coin. I got out when it doubled. Now I got a million, and I just lost all that extra thousand, but I didn't lose my money, my initial. You see what I'm saying?
I do. But that again, to maybe go back to the word that you highlighted earlier, is it comes back to discipline. That for all the listeners is that it's you're not going to win every time you make a bet like this. You're buying a coin. You're not going to lose every time. There's going to be up and downs, but be disciplined. Keep a spreadsheet. Track what it is you're buying at the price you're buying. So as soon as you get to that out, like that first take 1,000 out profit, okay, now I'm neutral. Now everything's here's gravy. And to just think about it a little bit so that you don't wake up and say, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that. Like no regrets, right? Like what I say for crypto, one of my mottos is for all of this, for the Web3 world in general, is you can't have regret. Never regret. You can be ashamed. You can totally be
Yeah,
ashamed of yourself, but just don't regret because regret implies that you didn't make a decision under the right rubric, under the right ideals. You did. It's just sometimes you get it wrong and you should be ashamed. Okay, I learned from my mistake. I learned from the shame. Do I regret it? No. Keep moving forward and make sure you track it and pull it out because we were talking numbers like 500 and 1,000. It's not hard. We can do that. We can pull it out and keep moving forward. And if you watch just a little bit, like I call it reading the tea leaves, just like you said, look for that one person who's a little bit of an influencer on a project, and you know Homeboy's going to start pumping it. And we know the SEC has moved past being punitive and finding people for talking about it on the internet. Like we moved past that. They hit
yeah,
Kim Kardashian, they hit Paul Pierce, they hit a Soldier Boy, but they're not going to hit you, me, or anybody else who's talking about $500. It doesn't
yeah.
work that way. So listen for it and then make the move, but be disciplined to pull it out. Because if you don't, then you're just in the casino like everybody else.
So if y'all don't recognize game, this is free game. We're giving you free game in a sense where we don't have a Patreon up under the comments and stuff where you can subscribe to. Like I don't, we just want you to listen to. We like talk about Bitcoin. We're talking about how you can get more Bitcoin. We're giving you game right now because you know you're scared of Bitcoin. We know you're scared of Bitcoin. Bitcoin's at 100K. Shit, I'm scared of Bitcoin at 100K, but I like it. Um, it's hard to keep buying Bitcoin every week. And I showed you on the Money Grows on Trees channel. I buy Bitcoin every week. $40 to $50 every week. And y'all know I've been doing this since 2020. And you know what it is. So you go on the channel, you see the price, you see where it's at. And it's real live on Cash App. But this is free game. What we just telling you that, hey, if you're gonna play in this field, this is how you play it. You don't play it to get cash. You play it to get more Bitcoin. Because that's what you want anyway. That's the only reason you're in here because Bitcoin got your attention. Now, if you plan it, I get in this coin, I made $10,000 because I got Hawk Tour coin or whatever the girl name is or whatever she say, and you made $10,000 off that. What you do with the $10,000 is up to you, but the only reason you came over here because Bitcoin got your attention. So remember why you're here, getting Hawk Tour or Pepe or XRP or anything like that. And with that being said, what do you think about XRP?
So this is a weird one. So XRP, for all those who are uninitiated, is also called Ripple. And
I like that
Ripple
uninitiated. Uninitiated.
has been tied up in court for years.
Yeah.
I actually worked with the one of the I don't know what his title is. His name is Bradford Garlinghouse. He might be the
Oh
CEO. I
yeah.
worked with him for 5 minutes at Yahoo, when back in the old salad days of the internet, and he was the head of community. And the Ripple model is one that it's so good because it's so simple. Well, what was their whole model? XRP's model, Ripple, that's synonymous, was to create a platform for a transaction of value. It was going to be a stable coin before there was even the notion of the word stable coin, before people talked about Tether, before they talked about USDC, all that. And it was going to be this way for businesses to do better transactions and do what? Optimize, speed things up. Why do I have to wait 7 days for my check to clear? Why do I have to wait 3 days for the bank to transfer the money for to pull it out? Why are there waiting periods? Well, XRP is going to solve that. Ripple's going to solve that. And unfortunately, that got them right in the reticle of the United States government. Because if you're in the business of making something that's called a stable coin, well, then you're de-dollarizing the American dollar. and suddenly you're in direct competition with like United States legal tender, which got them a whole lot of heat and a lot of lawsuits and a lot of everything, which slowed them all the way down to a snail's pace with Gary Gensler and all that. But I have some XRP, not financial advice. My business partner does too, because those mofos weared them down. And now Ripple and XRP are being talked about in the same breath as the Doge contingent of the United States government, not Doge coin, but Department of Government Efficiency, which is supposed to be run by Elon Musk and
Yeah.
whoever else, probably Brad Garlinghouse. But they're basically coming in and saying, oh, no, 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 this whole time we were the best choice for the digital dollar twin, the stable coin. We're XRP. And they are starting to insinuate themselves into the conversation at a federal level. So my advice for anyone who's holding XRP, not financial advice, but my advice is don't do anything, because it's right now there's a chance that for the next 4 years, all of these idiots and all their coins go through the ceiling because they can force them to. Because if the XRP group, Ripple Group, cut any kind of deal with the American government in any way, shape, or form to transact value, oh my God! Like you're talking about $2, was it $1.80, $2.80? Like what if XRP went to $100 a coin,
Yeah,
$1,000 a coin? Like
I
it's
don't see
gonna
that.
go
I don't see
nuts.
that market cap though. I just can't visualize that market cap
I don't
because that
think
means
market caps matter when the government cares.
that's a $10 million Bitcoin.
I think that there, yes. If
So
Bitcoin is not at $1 million before the decade, then I'm gonna turn my beard orange.
yeah, yeah. So like I can see XRP doing that, but I think you lose a lot of I made almost all my money in 2017 on XRP because
So how did you hear about XRP? How did you come to it? What's your story
I didn't know shit
coming
about
to
XRP.
XRP?
I didn't know shit about XRP. I didn't know anything about the crypto industry. I was trying to get money to go on a gambling site to make a bet on a football game.
Okay.
All right. So
What was the football game? What was the bet?
I don't even remember the football game. What happened was my friend, I had some excess money, and my friend, when I put the money on Coinbase, I just set up my Coinbase account. My friend had a friend that won $50,000 on a gambling site. It's called Bodog. It's called Bovada now, and he won $50,000. But he's in the military, and he can't just take money like that. He was in the he just can't like cash out $50,000 and put it in your bank account because you got clearance and securities, right? So
Okay.
he said if I give him 2,500, he'll give me. Oh shoot, I don't know what this is. Uh, he said if
I
I
think it's
give
your
him,
friend calling to tell you to stop. Sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, it was you know how zero whatever this thing is called.
Yeah.
But he told me he'll give me like 3,500 if I gave him 2,500. So that's a free $1,000 to me. But he said I got to take the 3,500 in Bitcoin. Now I just started my Bitcoin account on Coinbase in September of 2017 to bet.
Okay.
So now I got $3,600 in Bitcoin. That's about 80% of a Bitcoin, like point eight, right?
Yeah.
By October,
It's a lot. It's a lot.
it was like the end of September. In October, Bitcoin went from like 4,000 to like 5,000. And I told him, hey man, my account says I got like 700 extra dollars. You send me $700 too much. He said, nah, Bitcoin do that. That's how it works. It's like, that's how it works. I just
Mhm.
went all in just trying to figure out what this Bitcoin was because I'm gonna make $100 bet and win $100 when I just made $700 just by owning this Bitcoin for a weekend. And
Yeah.
my life changed after that. So that's when I started studying cryptocurrency and everything else. I just took my $2,500 initially out and left everything else in. And by the end of October 2017, Bitcoin's like at $7,000. I was like, man, I'm putting the 2,500 back in there. And I'm putting everything in here. So I started looking at Ethereum, all these other coins, and I started going on like what it was. Different. A lot of the sites shut down now. I forget what it was called. The
Yeah,
exchanges.
but that's how you then got into
XRP. I
XRP.
started getting on videos, and everybody always talk about XRP. That's
Oh yeah.
almost in every video. So one thing had showed me somebody moved $700 million in late November after Thanksgiving, and they was moving it and brought XRP. It was 22 cents a coin, and I used like three or four of my Litecoins. It was that $400
Hmm.
coin, and I moved them into XRP, and it went from 22 cents to $3 and like 20 something cent, and I sold it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
And that's what
That is,
that's
and that's what that was the vampire that bit you in the neck.
yeah. And ever since then, I haven't brought another XRP in my life.
I mean, I wouldn't touch it, but your story is a good story. My story is that I just know the guys who run it, and I'm like, these dudes are some charlatans, straight up.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean they don't know how to make money. I just don't trust them as humans. That's all.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I got into it because of that, but then I started learning more about Bitcoin, and I was like, "Damn, this is the escape right here." When after 2018 happened, I was like, "Okay, something about this is real, but this is the escape," and that's when I learned more about Bitcoin. So I stopped
Yeah.
doing everything else. I told everybody just buy Bitcoin. You're never gonna get bit in the butt if you buy Bitcoin.
There you go. But also part of the Bitcoin story, which I know you touched on with the audience, is that, and what we talk about on Off the Record on the Rocks, is that the idea that it's something that is intangible or ephemeral. You know, we have this idea of things like real estate and owning part of the United States and part of the globe or wherever you buy stuff. You have to also bring kind of your focus in that you can own something that is a giant piece of equity and you can draw loans off of it, or you can give loans to other people. And I know there have been a couple early services to do this, but it's going to start to become more normalized and it's going to start to become a thing that maybe even the American government supports. So there's a future, just for example, just go with me for a second, where everyone knows about the app called Nextdoor. Right? There's an app called Nextdoor. What do you use it for? Well, usually it tells you when like your neighbors see a coyote in your yard, or there's someone like strange on the street. It's like a way for people in neighborhoods to like help one another. But then they also have, hey, I need to borrow a couple eggs because I'm making a cake, and someone on next door might tell you, oh yeah, I got
I
some
never
eggs or
heard of
whatever.
that app though.
So it's called Nextdoor. It's like a neighborhoody kind of an app. There's many versions of it across many different cities, but it's the kind of thing where people can like share information about stuff with their neighbors next door because it physically knows where you are in the world. You're not halfway across the country, you're next door. So in the future, which is basically now, we have the access to own things like Bitcoin, things like Ethereum. When you actually own the real thing, not the spot ETF version, but the real thing, then you have a real liquid asset. You have an asset which could be staked, to use an old term that everyone is polarizing. But basically, imagine a future where you can go down the street to your Wells Fargo, your Bank of America, or your US Bank, and say, I have a half of a Bitcoin and I'm going to stake it here in your bank. And I'm going to offer loans to people in my community at whatever rate is agreeable to the bank and to me. And I'm going to make money off of it. I'm going to become a bank. And now in my next door, when people ask things like, hey, I'm having a garage sale on Sunday, can you please not park on the street? Or, hey, I'm trying to find a blah, blah, blah for my daughter's quinceañera or whatever. You can say, anybody need a loan? Does anybody need to borrow a couple $100 because I have a new loan product
Yeah,
next door that's just here to offer that? So you start to see you have these, you may not realize it, but owning cryptocurrency is a mechanism for you to make money, not just while you sit watching, hodling it, if you want to use those words, as it goes up over time, but actually lend it out, make it work for you. Something that we talk about a lot on our podcast is this idea that in this new world that is the metaverse that we all live in, if you spend time looking at Twitter, sorry, X, if you spend time
yeah,
putting on any kind of AR anything. If you have spent time doing anything that's digital, you're already in the metaverse. And they're watching you and they're observing everything that you do. And what is the one thing that you really can't do yet? Well, it's hard to really just borrow money to have microloans. And one of the things that I think is going to be really powerful as we go into the second half of this decade is empowering people who have crypto to make themselves micro lenders in the way that a lending tree, like a little micro banks. That's a
Yeah,
whole aspect of DeFi that no one's explored yet.
yeah, because what you're explaining is you're going to be like a mini payday loaner, like
Yes.
like you're going to be walking
Like
around
Nick's
and
Nick's checks cashing, but
yeah, like
not
we
sleazy.
we call them Am Scots here, like Am Scots and payday loan type stuff. Uh, and I think that's but that's what Michael said is going to be like a big bank that offers like mortgages and loans to buy buildings. I think that's what he's going for with MicroStrategies, where he give loans to countries and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, big time.
So he's gonna make money from that, and like the more of the of Bitcoin you own, you're gonna be able to do stuff like, hey, I just make money off my Bitcoin, and I just loan that off to him, and then he pay me back in Bitcoin. So yeah, I see that. I see that in the future for sure. Like they don't know the alpha they getting right here. I'm trying to tell you, bro. Like so we talked about I gave you my thoughts about XRP, but you didn't tell me anything that you just said coins, but you didn't give me no coins. Like I
I
get
mean, I'm scared. I'm scared to even say anything for fear of having people
I
pile
want
into it and then lose
I
out.
just want a coin for myself. I'm gonna invest in it regardless. Something that you believe in that like I like V Chain, right? So I give everybody
Yeah.
V Chain. That's my favorite. That's one of my
So
favorites.
what I like are projects that are working on. So I believe that the future is 100% on chain. Like we're heading there, and it's going to take time. Why does it take time? Because the FANG companies, Facebook, Apple, Netflix, Google, and you could probably lump Amazon in there. There's probably two ways: Apple and Amazon. They control the internet. They control the Web 2 internet. If you're getting information over the internet like you are today from
Yeah.
us is coming through servers from one of those five companies.
Yes.
They control the internet. And people think, oh, China is regulated and restricted and censored. The United States is too. You
Yeah.
just don't think of it that way. We have a narrow view of the wide open web. And anything that's outside of those five companies, they call it the dark web and they make you feel like you're a bad person for being there. So what do I
I
like
like
in
how you
terms of
explain that. That's great. That's great right there. I like that
yeah,
because that's the
and
first time
again, like,
I'm hearing it like that. That's great.
well, see, this is something for your audience and for our audiences. Like, one of the things I do this because I love talking about it. I love connecting with people who are in this space. We're not doing it for to make a ton of money. We're doing it because we're passionate about it, and that's I think what comes through on your channel and our channel. But everyone who's listening needs to understand that it is a structured, restricted, censored version of the internet that Americans get, the same way that we think that people in other countries get their own version of that. So, what is it that excites me about projects, about altcoins, about these tokens? Anytime there's a group of individuals who is creating a project that challenges directly one of the offerings, services, and products of one of those five FANG companies, of the Facebooks, the Apples, the Amazons, the Netflixes, and the Googles. What challenges them? It doesn't sound sexy, but I like Filecoin. Why do I
Okay.
like Filecoin? Because Filecoin is trying to disintermediate Google Drive. Filecoin says you should be able to store any amount of data on the blockchain, and you should be paying in Filecoin only for the amount of data that's stored. But that's not how Google works. It's not how Dropbox works. They charge you a subscription fee per week, per month, per year, exorbitant fees. It's almost like they're selling you car insurance
So they can have
for some.
space. You just got the space available, right?
It's just but what is space
Yeah,
in
it's
this new
nothing.
world? The luxury is in the cloud. Your luxury is in the cloud. And right now, Google tells you that it costs $10 a month to hold all your photos. Right now, Apple tells you that it's $15 a month to run your damn iCloud. Right
Oh,
now, Netflix tells you it's $20 a month to give you three more logins for your mom and your mom's friend, and it
how
costs them nothing. So Filecoin, Polygon, Avalanche, Matic, hit all of the operational projects, the ones that are trying to disintermediate the FANG companies, because they exist in this weird little loop where the FANG companies in Web 2 can't exist in a vacuum because they have to evolve to Web 3. But in order to evolve to Web 3, they have to expose themselves to other Web 3 competitors who are going to outmaneuver them because they're smaller and faster. So, ever so slowly does that circle run, and those projects are going to rise and rise and rise as those
Somebody's gonna
FANG
win. Like,
companies.
yeah, I see what you're saying. One of the
They're
Fang
all,
company
as
might
long as there's
win,
competition
but
for the
somebody's
chain.
gonna beat the Fang company, right? That's what you're saying.
Someone is. What I'm
Yeah,
saying is they all have to go to Web3. They all have to rise. But there are going to be guys popping up every which way. So look for those little operational guys. Filecoin tries to do storage. Matic is trying to do cross-chain connections. Polygon is going to be a new conversational layer between social networks and value transactions. There's a there's they're not sexy. They're
yeah.
utilities. But
That's
the
what.
utilities are what's going to make us go from Web 2 to Web 3 across the boards.
So
That's
I
my
was,
thesis.
as you were saying, I was looking at my little 400 file coins I had. so so I was like, oh, okay, okay. I'm loaded. I'm loaded up. You know what I'm saying? But
You're there. You're there. This is a
so
time of transition.
yeah, I'm gonna try to get to 1,000 now. But Polygon and Matic, they I know they had a split or something with those.
You know,
I thought it was the
I
same,
try
but it's
not.
different.
No, well, so Polygon and Matic, they may be they're the same by the token Matic. There is one other layer they're doing, but I don't know if how they call it. But
Pole, I thought it was
anyone who
pole coin or something like that. Pole now.
something like that. I mean, even
I got some
Avalanche.
Matic, but I also got some pole. So I don't know. I don't know which one is
It's good.
which.
I think it's good to have both. I have a little bit across all of them. It's
Yeah.
good to have a little avalanche. It's good to have, there are weird deals being brokered between like Visa and MasterCard. Another thing that we talk about off the record on the rocks is the notion of the de-dollarization, like I was mentioning before. Well, Visa and MasterCard have been instrumental in that, right? They create these credit futures, if you will, for dollars, and they're trying to bring their entire system on chain. And right now, the government, the DOJ, the same way they're coming at Google and telling them they have to spin off Chrome, they're coming at MasterCard and Visa and saying you have to do a layer two, if you will, to a credit card payment layer to allow more local credit card companies to exist. The same way there's more, local telcos or local banks, and that's a monopoly that they've held for many, many years. So they are trying to find a chain to figure out how they're going to do their second level credit card payment settlements. There's a lot of talk about Avalanche. There's a lot of talk about, there's so many buzzes that are going on, but those are just utility stuff. Pay attention to what they're talking about and buy into utilities, not financial advice, but utilities are the ones that are going to be that take us through this period of transition. It's not going to be the hot, gaming company. It's not going to be the hot NFT, collectible. Those are fun novelties, but it's going to be the utilities that carry. Look, when MasterCard and Visa need to go to Web3, they're going to need a utility layer. When any company who's worth their weight in salt and gold is going to need to go into Web3, they're going to want to rely on a utility player. They're not going to go take a bet on some, you know, Solana blockchain powered by Andreessen Horowitz. Like that's a novelty, that's a
Yeah.
gaming, that's a celebrity thing. Anyway, for me right now, I know it's not sexy, but look at utility coins, look at utility projects. I think those are going to be the ones that carry us through.
Yeah. Yeah. But to be honest with you, that is for the future. But right now, you could throw a target at you could throw the doggone dart at anything. I don't think you're gonna miss. And that's the issue with
I,
the bull run. What you think about this bull run right now? Like the bull run is getting kind of it's getting kind of crazy right now. And I think everybody's gonna make money and they're gonna tell you about their coin. And you're gonna be like, I don't know, bro. I don't like making my money that way.
here's a question. What's the price of Bitcoin going to be at on Inauguration Day?
150. I believe it's gonna be at 150. I think Trump want.
I,
I think Trump's want at 150. And I
I was
think
gonna
he,
say 120, 125, but I'll go with you at 150. It's gonna get pumped hard. They're gonna
it's
pump it hard.
yeah. Hey, the only reason I say this, right? MicroStrategy got an issue where they can't buy Bitcoin for a certain amount of time right now, and they don't.
What? Why is that? I haven't heard that.
Some with like the fourth quarter or the third quarter or something with being put into the Nasdaq, and then like they're gonna get put into something else, and then like
Okay.
so they are a big part of buying Bitcoin, and I think when they buy Bitcoin, everybody else buy Bitcoin at the same time. Like it's like MicroStrategy is the beard for them.
Mm,
They're hiding behind MicroStrategy. So I think Coinbase say, hey, we putting an algorithm in. We're having MicroStrategy buy Bitcoin. Y'all might want to hide up under this too. And that's when the price goes crazy. And then MicroStrategy announced, oh, we brought 40,000 Bitcoin at the average price of 107. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
Well,
But
yeah, and they telegraph it, but when they
but
do it, they
everybody
they
else
post
did
it.
too. Everybody else
Yeah.
did too. But they the only ones that said it. And if
Yeah.
they're buying Bitcoin at 107 and everybody else doing it under the same time frame and they're
Yeah.
hiding their transactions, you think Bitcoin is
Well,
going to stay under 107 forever? No.
no, it's gonna start to go nuts. Now, I don't know if it goes to 150 by inauguration. I was thinking 120, 125, but I think that it could go easily to a quarter million to 300 by the end of this administration.
Yeah.
Because again, there's this effect, the effect of the smoothing out with the derivative products. Because out of, look, everyone's talking out of both sides of their mouth. As much as Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy is talking about buying Bitcoin, they're also buying spot Bitcoin ETF. They're exposing themselves to all the products. And as much as the inflows of BlackRock are 4 point this many billion this month and blah blah blah, those guys are also having to buy Bitcoin and also cash and bolster it. And that has a smoothing effect. I mean, if this were a year ago and someone rolled in and bought $5 billion worth of Bitcoin, it would have gone parabolic in a
Yeah.
way that would have been impossible to chase. Like it would have gone so far and swung so high, and then would have swung so low so fast. But Satoshi Nakamoto and everyone else who was involved in creating this algorithm figured out that there would not be a single individual who would buy $5 billion worth of Bitcoin. They just wouldn't somehow. Instead, they created derivative products to buy parts of it. So I think that what your thesis is correct. I mean, at this point, I don't think there is any scenario where you have the swings as wild as they once were. And when you have major companies and now countries coming out and saying publicly, we are purchasing this much Bitcoin at this price, and unabashedly, 107 is not embarrassing. A
Yeah.
year ago, you would have said 107. Oh, someone got took. But
Yeah.
no, like now, that's like, oh, that's a major position in this long game of chess, and that game doesn't end for a while, and you can't even contemplate the moves because we're talking $1 million Bitcoin faster than you can even think about logging in a Cash App.
Yeah, because they're using Bitcoin for different reasons that we can't even imagine why they buying so much Bitcoin. Like our so my life changed a lot, right? And I just can't touch what I got because I know what it's gonna be in the future. So it's kind of like hard to deal with, like like not touching what you know that you can't do it because that's your kids stuff. You know what
Hey,
I'm
but you
saying?
know what? You got the bar, the wood bar. You
Yeah,
got the Solana Mexican wine.
the Mexican
You got
wine
the
over here.
bin dope
Yeah.
hoodies and threads that I've been buying for years. In
Hey,
my
and
mind, you have made it. I don't even know what you're talking about touching anything. Just do what you do,
I appreciate you though, man. You showing love to the Ben Dope and the Bitcoin behind the bar movement. I sure appreciate
dude.
that. But the Ben Dope, y'all don't understand about that. Bitcoin has been dope, and that's the Bitcoin B on there. And y'all gotta understand since 20 what 10, it's been dope. You
Yeah.
just ain't caught on yet.
Well, so the original Bin Dope, just to give a shout out to Jake
Oh yeah,
Fever Threads, was
it's smaller than
smaller.
this.
It was more subtle. I have a different Bin Dope. In
Yeah,
fact, it might be right here. I got it right here somewhere. I gotta grab it. So I can show it to everybody. So this was the original Bin Dope right here. See it?
subtle.
It's subtle and it's small. You want to know why? That's why I tell people. I used to wear this. I used to. I wore this thing threadbare. My wife tells me I gotta buy more clothes, and I order more Ben Dope sweatshirts. And people come walking up, and they're like, "Ben Dope, how long have you been dope?" That's one of my favorites. They ask me, "How long have you been dope?" And I'm always like, "Bit how long? I've been dope way before you woke up this morning." And then when you look at this one with the
That's
big letters, they say,
100K.
"Well, how come the letters got so much bigger?" And I said, "It hit 100K, dummy. Haven't you been watching the news? The sweatshirt evolved with the times."
Yeah, and soon enough you're not gonna. It's just gonna be Ben and then dope underneath it, something like
That's it. That's it.
that.
And I even got the. I mean, look, I'm telling you, I'm not trying to glaze you right now, but this a solid gold beanie.
Yeah,
That's a stocking stuffer that would make anybody in your family cry. I
yeah,
don't even know where my camera is. Look at me. I'm crazy. But
but
yes,
we could.
big shout out to Jake Fever Threads. I've been a big customer for years. And honestly, you got the bar, you got the Bitcoin behind it. To
Yeah,
me, I'm just trying to aspire to get a little taste of what you're up to.
Ankarino, you know that we can get after it. Us Bitcoiners, we can talk about this all day, all. And you welcome back on the show. But I think we should wrap it up here. And then, like, if anybody wanted to drop a comment, leave some questions, bring it back. Maybe I get a panel because I got some dope people. I got Bitcoin Chris. I got my guy One Solo Ball Shannon. We talk about Bitcoin. You, I think our conversation, like the insight that you have on certain things. We didn't talk about AI, but if you want to say anything about AI, I'm willing to listen to that because that's one of my weak points. And then we can wrap it up.
Well, so one thing I'll just leave for AI, which is something, and we should continue the conversation. I would love to have a conversation with Bitcoin Chris. We've been in the chat a little bit before, but one of the things that people don't get about AI is that it's so just take Chat GPT as an example. It's made by OpenAI, the company that Sam Altman runs. GPT is something that you can train, right? It's a generative pre-train, GPT. What does that mean? It means you can instantiate a Chat GPT 4.0 and you can upload documents to it and you can train it. What would be something I might want to train it on? Well, maybe I want to look at all of the data that pertaining to Bitcoin sales and purchases in the last year as a text file and upload that to the GPT. And then maybe upload another coin that I'm interested in. You pick it of the same time window into the same GPT. And then you can ask it questions, natural language questions like, is there any seasonality? Is there any time of the year based on these two data sets that shows one of these, the lower coin, moving at a pace that's faster and more exponential than Bitcoin? Maybe there is these interesting patterns you can see that you would take us a while to look at spreadsheets and crunch the numbers. You can start asking simple questions of your little program GPT. So I'll leave that is that just check out ChatGPT, check out 4.0. You can upload up to 20 documents to it. You can ask it questions. It's not financial advice, but it will show you trends and patterns very quickly that you cannot with your naked eye see without a lot of time and a lot of energy. Think of it as like a digital twin of yours that has more time and energy than you to do the research that you're too
Yeah.
lazy to do. And then make a few decisions to see if it works. And we can talk next time about more AI stuff because
Yeah.
the future is coming.
I
Woo,
wish we
it's
can get
coming.
some that AI, like I don't know. I'm novice to that, right? So what you just told me just opened up my eyes a little bit. Like, how can I utilize this thing to make myself better? You know, just period. And I got to have a offline conversation with you too. But yeah, I appreciate you
Let's
coming.
do it again. Let's do it again. Thank you so much. Happy holidays to
Hey,
you, Jake. This has been so
don't
much
leave
fun.
yet. We're gonna leave off the live, but don't leave yet. I
I
got you though,
won't.
man. Jake, 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 Jake.